Hello everyone, welcome back to the Glowtips YouTube channel. If you're new here, our channel is your educational destination for all things nail related, with a special focus on poly nail gel. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to walk you through a straightforward step-by-step tutorial on crafting stunning poly nail gel extensions using paper forms. This video is designed with beginners in mind and will provide details, explanations for each step. So without further ado, let's get started. Before we dive into the tutorial, let's ensure we have all the necessary materials at hand. You will need the following: our poly nail gel beginner kit, which consists of 2 gel tubes of your choice. For today's demonstration, we will be using milky pink shimmer. You will also need a dual-ended poly gel brush with a brush on one end and a spatula on the other end. You will also need the Glowtips slip solution, some dual forms which we won't be using in this video. Instead, we'll be using paper forms, and the Glowtips UV light. You will also need some lint-free wipes, as well as a metal cuticle pusher, a 100 to 180 grit file, and lastly, you will also be needing some alcohol or acetone. So we're going to start off with pushing back our cuticles. It is best to sterilize your cuticle pusher with some alcohol or acetone just before use. This is going to avoid any chance of infection or irritation when pushing back the cuticles. The skin we push back is called the eponychium, and the white part stuck to the nail plate is known as the cuticle. Over time, the cuticle must be removed in order to avoid lifting when doing nail extensions. It is important when pushing back the eponychium and the cuticles to push them back at this angle, just as shown on the screen. However, it is better to avoid pushing at a 45 degrees angle to avoid irritation. Also, if you're not confident cutting the eponychium, you should just avoid this step. Next step is to file your nails into an oval or almond shape. By doing this, the form will fit better under the natural nail. It might be easier to adjust the form to ensure that it fits straight. If you have long natural nails, you could always trim them to the length that allows you to fit the form snugly underneath, and this is essential because the natural nails will sometimes tilt upwards, and we want to avoid this as we want to create a nice, long and straight extension. Always file your natural nails going in one direction, as we do not want to cause any splits or crack down the nails as they grow out in the future. This is essential when filing natural nails, especially if you want to keep your length and nice, strong and healthy nails. Here, it is also important to use the 180 grit hand side of the file, as this file is softer and it will avoid any nail breakages as you file. It would also create a nice smooth edge before applying your nail form. Now that the nails have been filed, it's important to remove the dust using some acetone, then add a layer of base coat. And then we can move on to the nail form application. To start, you want to carefully peel the paper form from its sheet and ensure the tab underneath is positioned to provide support when curving the form. This sticky tab will be helpful as it will create extra strength and allow the gel to be applied evenly. Now pinch the front of the form as even as possible, and you want to try your best to place the form under your natural nail, aligning it precisely with the sides of your nail. Focus on positioning it centrally. Once underneath, secure the sides by pressing them, ensuring a snug fit without any gaps. It is important to avoid pushing the paper form in a way that causes discomfort. Simply and gently place it under the nail and secure it. Now check the form's placement using both sides and front views. It should appear symmetrical and smooth with an even surface. Our application process will be broken down into 2 steps. Step 1 involves building the extension base and defining the shape, while step 2 focuses on construction of the apex. Using the spatula, take a small bead of poly nail gel and place it gently on the tip of the nail. If you're aiming for a longer extension, you might need a slightly larger bead. Now with my brush, I am molding the gel outwards, and I'm using the paper form to create the extension. It is important to know what the apex is when building nails. This is a crucial point in nail enhancements and is located at the highest and most central part of the extension. It serves to straighten the nail, preventing bending or breaking, and ensures a balanced appearance. I'm going for a mid/long length here, and I'm gently brushing the product onto the paper form, creating my desired length and shape. Ensure that the gel connects to the side wall of the natural nail, forming a bridge. During this step, you don't need to focus too much on applying the gel to the bottom half of the nail, because we will be applying a second layer later on to build our apex. I'm shaping my nail into an almond/round shape here. If you're a beginner, I would recommend starting with a square shape and then filing it to an almond or round. This is because if you make a mistake and cure the product, it becomes harder to fix. Once I'm satisfied with the length and shape, I cure it for 60 seconds under the lamp. With my extension base complete, I can gently remove the paper form and proceed with the second layer. Here I am building my apex, which will strengthen the nail structure. Then with the brush, start molding the gel outwards, again ensuring to fill in the areas with no product such as the sidewalls and cuticle area. As you do this, make sure the gel does not touch your skin, and if it does, promptly remove it with some acetone or alcohol. It's crucial to maintain a small gap as well between the gel and the cuticle area to avoid any interference from oil and moisture when your nail grows out. When brushing the product outwards, focus on leaving most of the product to the highest point in the middle. This is what will form our apex. Now gently brush the gel to connect it with the first layer for a seamless look, and don't worry about it being perfect, as we can refine the shape later by filing it. If you become more confident with your application, you can build both shape and apex in one go, but practice makes perfect. If you feel that there is not enough product on your apex or the nail, you can always add more gel on top. This is something that makes one of our poly nail gels very flexible, unlike acrylics that dry quickly within seconds. Our Glowtips gel is very soft and easy to work with, so don't worry about putting too much pressure on the gel. Use a light hand and make sure that your brush is well saturated with the Glowtips slip solution. You can also remove any excess product, as I'm doing so here, just to ensure that we don't have to file too much later on. We're then just going to finish off with the last nail, and remember to apply as much product as you need according to the size of the nail. This nail is the smallest nail, and therefore I'm using a much smaller bead of gel to create my extension. Also, don't forget to use the tip of the brush to blend the line up towards the cuticle, as this is going to create a more seamless and effortless blend when applying your second bead to build our cuticle area and our apex. Before curing each nail, you also want to make sure that you check it from every single angle to ensure that it is a good and even application. Don't worry about the shape being perfect, as we're going to file this later on, but you just want to make sure that the side walls have enough product, as well as the cuticle area and the apex, as we can always add this later on, but it's easier to spot these things now as it will save us time. Also check the underneaths of the nail to make sure that there is no excess product, and make sure to smooth out any uncured gel underneath and then cure it again in the Glowtips light. Next, you want to grab a lint-free wipe and some alcohol to remove the sticky residue from the gel. Also, don't forget to clean the underside of the nail, as sometimes we can have some extra gel residue stuck underneath there as well. So make sure that you scrub really good under the nails to ensure that all the stickiness is gone. And now it's time to shape our nails. Using the 180 grit side of the nail file, begin shaping your extensions to your desired style and shape. I'm going to file them to a round almond shape or just a round shape, and take your time to smooth out those edges just like this. You want to make sure that you start working on the side walls to make sure that your nail is nice and narrow, and to remove any excess gel that might be lingering underneath the side walls. Our gel is very easy and soft to file, so you need a very light hand when filing. If you want to speed up the process, you could also use the 100 grit side in order to really debulk the nail. However, since our application is pretty much perfect, we're going to be using the 180 grit hand side of the file to just even out the surface a little bit, and also to get our shape in a little bit better. I'm just going to do this for a couple of the nails and show you the side view. As you can see, you want to keep the product on the side walls thin and the cuticle area thin. However, you want to avoid filing the apex area down too much. If you overfile the apex area, you will end up removing all that beautiful structure that we created with the nail forms. So you definitely want to be careful and constantly check your nails from different angles to make sure that the structure of your nail is still there. If for whatever reason you did accidentally file away the apex, you could always cleanse the nail again and go in with another bead of polygel just to bring in that extra structure and bring back your apex. Now that the nails are fully filed, we're going to go ahead and use the Glowtips nail buffer and buff the nails as good as we can. This is going to help to smoothen out the nail surface for any nail design or top coat, and it's also going to help remove any rough edges and just make the edges of the nails nice and smooth. So make sure to grab your 120 grit file buffer and just go ahead and buff them as well as you could. So now that the nails are almost done, we decided to choose a simple design, and here's what we'll be using to bring this nail art to life. We'll be using the Glowtips white gel polish, a jelly pink gel polish called mesmerising, and a striping nail brush. We're going to start off by creating a little French tip. Here I'm using the Glowtips white and a little striping nail art brush just to create a really simple V-shaped style French tip. And you can also go over this in 2 coats. However, I'm going to keep it as 1 coat since our gels are so pigmented. Take your time when doing this and use a steady hand as well. If you make any mistakes, you can always use a brush dipped in some acetone to clean up any of the rough edges or uneven lines. But once you're happy with your French tip, then go ahead and cure this for 60 seconds. We'll also be repeating the same design on the pinky finger and the thumb. Once this section is nice and cured, you want to move on to the next step, which is creating these beautiful flowers. Here we're using a dotting tool, but if you don't have a dotting tool, you can also use a toothpick. And I'm going to dip this in some of the white gel polish and create 5 dots to create our petals. This is going to create a really simple and beginner friendly nail art, but also create a really pretty flower. You can of course do these in different colors. However, for this nail design, we're going to stick to white. And I did this 3 times. Now for a pop of color, we're going to use the shade mesmerising, which is one of my personal favorites, and we're going to be using this to paint over the middle finger. This is such a beautiful jelly pink gel polish infused with medium to fine bits of glitter, and this is a great all year round summer. You can use this for so many different looks and is very versatile. We're using this today to create a bit of color in our nail design, and we're going to be using this on the tips, and we're also applying this to the thumb a little bit as well. And last but not least, don't forget to cure this beautiful design for 60 seconds, and let's move on to our top coat. We're going to be using the Glowtips High Gloss Top Coat, and we're going to seal in our beautiful nails. Do 1 thin coat of this and then again cure for 60 seconds in the Glowtips UV light. Our high gloss top coat will help to strengthen the surface of your nails, but also to protect the design that you've created. So don't forget to apply a nice, generous layer of this top coat and clean up anywhere where the gel touches the skin. Next, we're finishing off with some cuticle oil to bring some nourishment back into our cuticles and the skin surrounding the nail. Make sure that you massage this in really good in order to finish off the nail set. Now that we're finally done, these nails should last you anywhere between 2 to 3 weeks. We truly hope you've gained some valuable insights from today's video. If you did, it would mean the world to us if you could show us some support by giving it a thumbs up and becoming part of our community by subscribing. We'd also love to hear your preferences between working with dual forms or paper forms for poly nail gel extensions. So please share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video.